everybody? Andrew Taylor here. Today we have a special guest, Kerry Glass, with us. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We wanted to get you in because we saw you had a month over 100K of issue paid premium last month, which is insane.
Right.
We noticed you have done it not just once, but you've done that 3 times. So we wanted to learn a little bit about you and help the person who's watching this that's trying to figure out the life insurance industry and change their life, help them put their plan together to do that.
Okay.
So thank you for coming in. First of all, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about last month, how you did that.
Yeah. My name is Kerry Glass. I appreciate you having me. Honored to be here. Basically, I'm almost 40 years old. I started the life insurance industry when I was about 36. So I've been in almost 4 years now. But prior to this, I was a DJ for 12 years. Had no prior sales experience. I was living in San Diego, California. COVID happened. I couldn't legally work for like 18 months. So I had to make a pivot. I had to figure something out, something sustainable. I was deemed non-essential DJing, and I was listening to podcasts. I was looking for something that would be long-term, deemed essential, and just so I would never be put in that position again. I was looking for real estate. I came across podcasts. People started talking about the life insurance industry, and I was like, well, there could be something here. There's not a lot of upfront investment in it. It's not nearly as competitive as real estate, and it seemed to be a good vehicle. So I did my research, looked around in the industry, saw that there is a lot of earning potential, a lot of longevity in insurance. So that's kind of my start in it, at least.
Legit. So you were a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your DJ name?
Just my name.
Oh, just your name?
Yeah.
Sick, dude. How was that wild?
Yeah. It was cool. I had a fun run for sure. I played like college spring break at Cancun and traveled quite a bit. So definitely a young man's game, though. I'm happy to be on the other side of it now.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So you started doing that. How many years? So you've been doing this, what, 4 years?
Mm-hmm. Almost 4 years, yeah.
4 years. And how hard was it in the beginning?
It was hard. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. But I think that had to do with just I'd never done anything like it. I would go to bed at 5 a.m. and I switched my life completely to waking up at 5 a.m. So just the adjustment and getting used to talking to people on the phone, sales, all the ins and outs of your day-to-day work, the grind, the hustle. It was a big transition and learning curve and experience, but just getting through the other side of the suck and staying consistent and disciplined, like the work schedule, on daily activity, daily habits, that's really what helped, I think, get me ahead quicker.
Were you making good money DJing?
Yeah, I was making great money. I mean, over 6 figures. So I had to start at ground zero again, and I'm just very thankful that I did come across this.
Yeah, that's cool. So I was recently asked to describe like the culture of your agency, like what is special about it, and what would you say the culture was? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And what I came up with was, this is a place where you can come from anything, and a lot of underdogs who weren't supposed to be making a certain amount of money can come in and create their own, what they want success to be. And I was like, dude, how cool is that? Like, you could be a DJ, you could be whatever, anything, an Uber driver, and everybody starts at the same place.
Right.
But it sounds like you dove in. You were all about learning how to do this and listening to podcasts and listening to trainings. Did you go to all the trainings that you could?
Yeah, I mean, as many trainings as I could. Honestly, your podcast is one of the first ones I came across when I started. So I was just dialed. I was becoming obsessed. I just immersed myself in it at first because I was in such a bad situation when I got into insurance because of COVID. I mean, I wasn't able to work legally for a year and a half. So I accumulated over like $100,000 of debt. And not because like I'm an idiot. It's because I came across, a bad situation. So I was really trying to figure a way out of that situation. I had my girlfriend at the time. She was my fiance. We packed our bags from California, moved to Florida, moved in with her mom. And that was very humbling at like 35 to be doing that and saying, "Hey, I'm about to marry your daughter. I really got my stuff together," you know? So I didn't know how long we'd be with her mom. I thought it'd be a couple months. We ended up being with her for 8 full months until I really got this kind of figured out and us up on our feet. Meanwhile, we're still trying to plan a wedding and everything. So I guess for me, it's like I had no other choice. My back was completely against the wall, and I didn't see any other route out. I wanted to quit several times. I was looking at other jobs and like the earning potential of, working at the post office or whatever high like hourly wage jobs were out there, and nothing compared to what you could do with insurance. I could, protect a couple families a week, and the income and the earning potential for that far outweighs any kind of 9 to 5. Is That's how I saw it.
What was it about the podcast that helped you?
Just hearing everyone's stories, like you said, you can come from any background, any walk of life, and it was just really inspiring. It's like, if this guy can figure it out, and this girl and this person can, and maybe with less diversity that they had to face or whatever, even if their situation was worse, it was just inspiring to hear people's stories and how they did it, and it really helped me break down like my daily sales process and like what leads to run, how to run the leads, like the ins and outs of what worked for others. Try it out for myself and see if I can implement something from it.
Yeah, it's funny. So what I think helps a lot of people is seeing other people also go through the same things as you do. I've been trying to learn how to golf, and my friend that's really good at golf the other day got mad and like was throwing his club, and because he kept hitting the ball into the woods,
Hmm.
and I was like, dude, is it weird that I'm happy right now that you're pissed? Because I'm seeing you shoot all these bad shots. It makes me feel better. And I was like, is that messed up? And the point is like everybody's human, and when you hear people, they get beat up on the phones, they get cancellations, they get no shows, but they just keep fighting through them, and then it gets easier. Then it's kind of comforting. Did you find that?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess for me is just I just saw that little bit of progress day in and day out, a little bit better, better results, and like, there's a lot of failure to get to success. The road to success isn't a straight line. There's a lot of ups and downs. The old sales cliche: "Don't ride the highs too high, the lows too lows." I mean, that's just true in every sense of the word. But just seeing that the people ahead of me that already like paved the path is like if you just stay on that path and keep doing it, whatever it takes for as long as it takes, like you'll get there too.
Yeah, that's huge, man. So tell us about your month. How'd you have such a big month?
Honestly, last month, I had a large IUL client, and that took a majority of the IP put in place. There was a lot of life policies outside of that. The 2 months prior, though, that I did the over 100 families back to back months, those were policies for policy. So I felt like I earned those other two a little more, but this one was still, I mean, obviously nice.
It was just a nice break from,
Yeah.
but you put in the work, the numbers to find the person. I want to talk about this IUL. How big was it?
So as far as like coverage wise or premium,
The whole thing. Like we won't give customer details, but let's just do an example so someone knows what is possible.
yeah, it was a $69,000 deal.
And why'd they do it?
He really wanted something for future income. He wanted to put money into a product for 10 to 13 years and then be able to collect and withdraw from that down the road
And have the death benefit
and have the death benefit. It was like a $2.5 million death benefit
and the living benefits.
with the full living benefits.
And did he have kids, grandkids? What was it?
Nope, no kids, no grandkids. He really just wanted to make sure his financial house was in order.
Wow. And you just called a IUL lead?
Yeah, it was like a dollar IUL lead off the ILC.
You're kidding me.
No. It was crazy,
I almost want to go look at who had the lead first.
right?
I wonder if they even called him.
I don't know. I mean, he seemed to like he said he talked to a few people, but nothing really sparked his interest. So I guess he just didn't get in front of the right person, or I'm not really sure what happened there. He was a really hard guy to kind of pin down. He's very busy.
Crazy. And he just liked you, or
Yeah, I guess.
did you do it on Zoom?
No, it was all over the phone. I still don't even know what the guy looks like.
All over the phone.
Yeah.
Who'd you use for it? What carrier?
What carrier? Oh, NLG.
Yeah, so I'm really, really liking NLG, and for people who are not doing IULs, I think they're uncomfortable to learn about them because they think they're hard.
Hmm.
How do we get everybody to realize that they can they can do them?
I think one, just start watching some material on it. They're not that difficult. People just overcomplicate it in their mind. Yeah, there's several ins and outs with an IUL and how you can structure it and whatnot, but just go and dive in and start playing around with an IUL. See the different ways you can manipulate it to set it up and structure it. Um, you can really simplify the process, and I think that's one of the biggest things with sales and anything that we do is keep it simple. Simple sells, right? So don't get too into the nitty gritty. Don't overcomplicate it. If you don't understand it, the client's not going to understand it, and if you're giving too much information, they're not going to make a decision.
Yeah, that's huge. So what I did is I wrote my kids recently and I dove into like how it worked for them. And I think that anybody who has kids, like I kind of thought about it like, do you have kids?
No.
Okay. I kind of thought about it like this. Like Disneyland is so popular because anybody would do it anything to see their kids smile, even if it's really expensive. We're
Right.
going to Disneyland next week with our two kids. And what I realized is like, okay, if you get this IUL set up for them, that they could borrow cash value later, they could use it to start a business, they could use it to buy a house, they can use it for good as they get older. It'll help protect your grandkids, um, cover them give them coverage when they get older for their kids. When you could set something up like that, the value of it is huge. It's not that expensive when they're young, and then as an agent, you get the commission on it. So I always tell agents, like, learn on your kids, and it's something that is a no-brainer to have for kids. So I went through and I really, like, dug into, like, what's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? And got the maximum I could get with NLG for kids. And I'm like, dude, this product's legit. So I'm really liking them. What we're also noticing is that the persistency of an IUL is really high. And for those of you who don't know, in insurance, there's chargebacks. And chargebacks on general are probably like on final expense and life products, probably like 30%. And we're only seeing a 10% chargeback rate. So it's like you're doing the work, the premiums are higher, so you can have these big paydays and these big months. And then on top of that, there's less cancellations. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I think just the process that they have to go through, one, seeing how like legit the carriers are and how thorough they are, it makes it feel more real and like they're working with a very reputable company. But not only that, these people just have a different mindset about what they're using the insurance for. So you're talking to a different class of people almost. So yeah, seeing way less chargebacks with it overall for sure.
Yeah. So Integrity Lead Center is coming out shortly in the next few days with a $20 IUL, brand new IUL lead that people can customize by state, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Um, and then obviously the aged ones, people tell me all the time, they're like, how do we get more of these aged ones? Because I don't know if it's like the person talked to a few people and then by the time they get called later, they're ready. What do you find with those?
Instant leads are great. But what I do find with like if you get an instant lead is they're shopping around. They need some time to think about it. They're not ready to pull the trigger. They just want to get some information. So when you find someone maybe 2, 3, 4 months down the road, they talk to enough people. Maybe timing's just everything. Right person, right place, right time. So you will get those immediate people. Someone's ready to do it if it's an instant lead. But I think there's a lot to be said for the back end as well.
Yeah, that's huge. That's cool, man. So what advice would you give to somebody who they're watching this, they're trying to figure this thing out? Like they're brand new. Let's say they don't have a lot of money for leads because people don't get into this industry with a bunch of money usually,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Well, one, know that's going to be very hard. It's going to be very difficult. Like one of the toughest things. I mean, like I said, one of the toughest things I ever did. I think that's the case for a lot of agents. But it's not that the job part. It's simple. The process is simple. It's more of like a mind game. It's you versus you. So you got to have a really strong mindset coming into it, and know up front that there's going to be adversity, and just set the right expectations, and just know that like there's so many people that have laid the path in front of you. If you just do the things that they're telling you to do, you take in good advice, you remain extremely coachable, and you have that positive attitude, like you'll get there too. It's just going to take a little bit of time to shorten that learning curve of the suck, close the gap of the suck, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And you work with Bowen,
Hmm.
and who else do you work with?
Kevin Lauterbach, D. Nilly, Troy Cassidy, Derek Thrasher, Colton Collins.
Yeah, so you got a bunch of studs on your team.
Yeah.
What's it like working with them?
Man, it's incredible. I think I feel very blessed and very fortunate to be surrounded by those guys. And I think that's a huge part of it too. It's like there's so many different vehicles out there, and you can find success in about any industry. But I think what it really comes down to is the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And when you've got such positive people around you on a daily basis, like we have an accountability chat, for example, making sure we're checking in,
Yeah, I want to talk about that
doing
because
all the
that's
things.
different, man.
Yeah.
But so I've seen a little bit of it,
Hmm.
but tell us about it. Like every day you guys check in on not just work, but it's other things, right?
Right, right. So building each other up, like mentally, spiritually, financially, whatever the case may be. But we're up 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. We hit the gym, and then you're listening to a podcast. You'll maybe read 10 pages of a book after the gym. Cold plunge, sauna, just doing things before the workday starts to help clear your mind and make you sharp, right? Because think about this: if you roll up out of bed, you're supposed to start dialing at 8 a.m. You don't get out of bed till 7:50, and then you hit the phones. Who do you think is going to start on sharper? The guy that's been up for a couple hours thinking about the day in front of him that already did some hard stuff, stacked up a few wins, or the person that just rolled right out of bed? They get on the phone, talk to somebody, and they immediately get some adversity. So I think it kind of personal development and business, I think, go hand in hand. And if you're working on yourself daily, have good daily habits in place, that's just going to lend to your success overall.
But you guys text each other exactly what you did every day.
We do.
And what was today?
Today, it's almost the same every day. So we'll have like we'll say gym, green check mark, podcast, green check mark, whatever you did for that morning. And if you don't hold yourself accountable, if you're not participating in the chat, you're kicked out. And that's a group you don't want to not be a part of. You don't want to be on the outside
How
of
many
it.
people are in there?
Right now, probably 8 or 9.
Now, is this Saturday and Sunday too?
Those are kind of optional days, but definitely Monday through Friday, without a doubt.
So we had Josh Lockhart on yesterday, and me and him recently did 75 hard, and
Okay.
he lost he literally looked. I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but his before picture, it was like he was pregnant,
Yeah,
and then now he like almost has a 6-pack in 75 days.
that's crazy.
And I'm like, dude, that's legit. And we were talking about how much that helped business, like just having that accountability. And then we were talking about how, like, it's so easy, though, if you don't keep the accountability after that 75 days to go right back to where you were before.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
like, the importance of now, this could relate to anything. This could relate to sales, but the importance of doing these things every day are huge,
Hmm.
opposed to just going hard and burning out and not continuing to do it.
Right.
So Monday through Friday, you guys are doing gym, sauna. You do ice bath.
Personally, no, not every single day, but it's something I'm trying to get into. It's access,
Got it.
more
Yeah,
or less.
you just don't have one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have an ice bath, but sauna.
Yeah, almost 5 days a week.
So gym, sauna, read, listen to a podcast, and then start your workday.
Right. In that too, we also require recruiting messages. So share the opportunity, 20 to 50 people a day.
And how do you do that?
I do mine personally through Instagram, LinkedIn. Find people in different sales industries, people in insurance, to see what they're up to if they're looking for other opportunities.
Crazy, dude. And so you do that in the morning before what time?
Before I get on at 8.
What else do you guys do?
I'd say that's it, about 8.
What about like someone was telling me something like meditate or something like that. Is that in there?
There was a period in time when I go back to when I started. I came in broke mentally, financially, in all the ways. Right, I was at my lowest low, and I was like, whatever the heck I'm doing right now is not working, and I got to do whatever it takes. I got to figure this out. So you know how on Instagram you'll see like those memes, like the daily schedule of any successful CEO, and they're up at 5, they're reading, they meditate, all that. I was doing every single thing in there except for meditating. I was like, okay, if that's what it takes, I'm gonna freaking meditate. So I got on this big kick for like 6 months where I did meditate, and that was really tough, like to get past the hump of it. But when you start doing it, if you ever get into it, it's really freaking cool. And honestly, I miss doing it a lot. It's just finding the time in the day of like, what am I going to have and where can I find more time or what am I going to take out to make that work? But
So how long did you do it for? Like a day?
it was just like a 10 to 15-minute guided meditation. And you start to get good with it over time. Like it does take practice, but it's really pretty neat.
Last night we were talking about how like um my grandma recently moved in with my mom, and she like prays for like 2 hours a night. Okay. But she's literally like unshakable in any way. Like nothing I mean nothing bothers her ever. And you could like feel it when you're around her.
Hmm.
And we were like, man, like with social media and the way everything is now, it's hard to concentrate for like 5 minutes.
Right.
Like you really have to focus on concentrating. That's why I like to tell new agents like put social media away so you can focus on your work,
Yeah.
especially if you look at your screen time.
Right. A lot of guys on my squad, they have these apps now where you can just lock yourself out of social media. No matter what you do, whatever parameters you set, you cannot get around that block. So it just helps them stay focused on like dial times and
What app is that?
I don't know the name of the app, but there's a few out there if you just look on like the app store.
That's cool. See, yeah, I haven't had social media in a while because I am just trying to focus more. When I was new in insurance, I would scroll social media while I was dialing, and we used to track how many dials we would make per hour,
Hmm.
and my dials per hour would go way down.
Right.
And then my mentor at the time was like, "Hey, go put your phone in the safe," because we would use a different phone to call. Like, go put your phone in the safe with the guns because you're shooting yourself in the foot by having that thing on your desk while you're trying to work.
It's a good mentor.
Yeah.
Good analogy.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. But dude, I love what you guys are doing because it's different. Because like you could have money and you could still be completely drained mentally or spiritually or physically. And back to Josh Lockhart, what he was saying. The reason I was telling that story is he started making really good money, but he was just working all the time and he was eating fast food and eating terrible and sleeping terrible and drinking soda or whatever.
Hmm.
And he was like, dude, so I made money and then I got unhealthy. It's like we got to keep all these things in check while
Right.
we're doing all these things, which dude, it's legit what you guys are doing. How many people have been kicked out of your guys' chat?
Man, I'd say probably at least 20 to 30
Wow. 20 and 30. How many did you say are in there?
right now, about eight or nine.
There's only 8 or 9. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Do you have to ask to be in there?
No, you have to. You can't ask. Like you just
You have
say,
to be
"Hey,
invited.
you're showing up. You're performing well. We see that you want this. You know, you're doing all the right things. Like, let's take this to the next level." So it's
And
like an iron
30
sharpens iron type of culture,
30 to 40 people
at least. Yeah.
have gotten kicked out. Damn. And if you miss one day, you're out.
uh, as long as you're accountable. So say, hey guys, I'm not feeling it today. I'm sick, or this is going on. This is going on. I did these things, but I didn't get everything done. But I'm here. It's for accountability.
Dang, dude. So what time do you go to bed to wake up at 5:30?
Like 9. I cannot keep my eyes open past like 8:30. I'm like zonked out.
Yeah, like someone was telling me they're like, well, this came from my own thing. So back in the day, I used to go to bed at like 2, 3 in the morning, and I would always tell people, dude, I can't get up early. And then my mentor at the same dude was like, okay, I have some advice for you. He's like, go to bed early and you'll get up early. Right.
Right.
And then one of these agents was telling me he had trouble sleeping. And I was like, dude, wake up early and you won't be able to keep your eyes open at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wake up super early, get a full day in, and you won't be able to keep your eyes open.
Mm-hmm. But just like it's counterintuitive, but like when you work out in the day, it gives you more energy throughout the day. Your focus is there, your mental clarity is there.
Dude.
So it's awesome. It's like and trying to open other people's eyes, like other agents that come in. It's like, okay, you're putting in the work, but let's add this extra thing. Once you like get someone to start implementing that, you see like an immediate almost turnaround in their production, their mindset, their attitude. It's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, my wife just started going to Orange Theory,
Hmm.
which is like a forced workout because it's a group workout. And she's like, all these things that were bothering me every day are gone.
Yeah,
Like it just like almost like releases them.
totally.
And people go, well, what does that have to do with, what does this have to do with sales? It has everything to do with sales. Like if you feel good, you're gonna help more people. You're gonna be happier. It's a must.
Yeah, do something for yourself. I mean, if you're putting in that much hours on the phone, you got to have some kind of outside escape to let that stress out, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and you think that helps you big time.
Oh yeah, tremendously. If I don't have that stuff in line, like I notice the result in like my relationships with my friends and family, my productivity at work, how, dialed in I am with like recruiting and training and development. So
What
it
about
goes hand in hand.
self-talk?
Yeah, self-talk's huge. But I think if you're doing positive things for yourself, you can't talk negatively. You're not going to get negative results with like a positive mind.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I want to start one of those groups. Well, I guess I kind of have one. Me, Grady, we had 100 people do 75 hard. 4 people finished, and those 4 people, we now have like a daily chat that we're in. But we don't post stuff. I'm gonna start posting every day
Yeah.
with the check marks and all that stuff because I love that, dude. And you're right; it gives you so much energy. Now, the other thing I think that people might not realize could be a secret to your success is just the fact that you guys are live at 8 instead of like 9 or 10 or 11.
Hmm.
And is that a consistent thing?
Oh yeah. Every morning, I open up Zoom for the whole agency. I'm on Eastern time in Florida, so 8 a.m. Eastern. It's probably open till 1 a.m. Eastern, just because we have people on Pacific time as well.
That's legit. So you guys, technically, if I lived here and I really needed to make money, I could pop in on your Zoom at 5 a.m.
Yep.
and I could call people in Florida and have help or on the East Coast at 5 a.m.
100%.
And vice versa. You could even call Hawaii till midnight here. Actually,
Hmm. Yeah, I've got some guys that there's been a couple of times where they were giving it like a push week. It's like if I don't hit these numbers, I'm gonna do like as many dials, whatever. They were calling Hawaii leads, and there's a big time gap there. So they were making deals at midnight essentially.
crazy, dude. Wow, that's legit. All right, so what's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome?
Biggest hurdle, I guess, is man, there's so much that comes with it. There's so many little things. I guess initially it was just finding what worked for me, I guess, as far as lead type goes. Everyone starts off a final expense. For me, mortgage protection is my bread and butter. So getting that really figured out and to where I'm getting a good ROI. Um, shoot, recruiting, that was a whole other thing too, because I brought in some people that didn't work out, unfortunately, and
I want
there's roll up debt and all that
I
as
want to
well.
talk about all that.
Yeah. So there's just, I mean, you can take every little piece of the business. There's a little something. I think we all face the same adversity, no matter what. Like no one's immune to it. It's just who's going to stick through it and who's going to keep going and pick up and say, well, that didn't work. Now I'm going to try this and keep moving on. I can't pick one specific thing necessarily.
Yeah, so let's talk about people quitting. You recruiting people, them quitting. It's common. A lot
Hmm.
of times it could be a friend or something too, which could be really discouraging. Did that happen to you?
Not like a close friend, but people I grew relationships with through the business. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's really like, man, we invested so much together in this, and then it doesn't work for them. And that's okay. It doesn't work for everybody. But dude, it didn't work for a lot of the people that I started with. And it was almost like they wanted me to stop. Did you feel like that?
No, I never felt like that, but I think overall it's just discouraging because you could kind of tell when someone's starting to fade out. And it's really sad to see. It's like they just kind of give up on themselves a little bit, I feel like, or the mentality's not there. Or
Hmm.
they can't get over the adversity that comes along with the business.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's important to understand this. So what I started doing is not getting so attached and kind of letting people know, like, look, this might not work. I still want to be friends if it doesn't. No hard feelings if it doesn't work. It doesn't work for everybody. If you don't like it, it's all good. Um, and kind of like going into it like that. And that way, I don't know. I don't that way it's not like letting me down when somebody leaves. But then you find that crazy person that like is so good at this that drives you to be better.
Hmm.
And if you could get a bunch of those, then it just keeps you keep leveling up, you know?
Totally.
But you know what I found? Like one of my friends is new at this and he's really good. But he's been calling at his old job for a couple years. So this actually seems easy because there's leads.
Mm,
And then I've had some friends, like let's say one of them works at Applebee's, they've never sold anything, and this seems like the hardest thing in the world to them.
right.
It's like almost just a perspective thing.
Totally.
Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, totally. I think people with a sales background, especially if you had a cold calling background, this is like a walk in the park. You got people interested in life insurance, warm leads to call versus a cold call. Whereas if you've never done anything like this, like people can't take the responsibility, I feel like, of working for themselves, you know?
Mhm.
They almost need someone to say, you have to clock in at this hour. They're going to get, consistent pay. They know what they're going to get at the end of the week, no matter what kind of results they or work they put in. I think that's tough for a lot of people to kind of switch that mindset, you know?
Yeah. Does your wife work?
She does. So we started actually together and money was tight. Had few more months under my belt than she did. And so she felt like when she was on the phone, she was just wasting money, wasting leads. Whereas she couldn't close a deal, maybe I could have. So what that transitioned into was, if I just have you dial for me and set appointments, I could just set in front of more people. We could make more sales. So then she was my dialer for a long time. And that worked out great. That really helped me because I was doing mortgage protection. A lot of those people show up for appointments, which is perfect. Now it's transitioned into where she's our trainer. So we onboard someone, even if it's one of my agents and anyone in the downline, we train everyone exactly the same. They get a 3-day training. It's 18 hours before they're ever released to get on the phones because she knows all the ins and outs. She hears me talk about it day in and day out. She's sold. She actually tried to sell again recently this year. It's just not for her.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody.
Right.
Um, crazy. How is it working with your wife?
You know what? Yes, what one of the hardest things in the business was, I think it was the transition, the toll it took on our relationship, just because I was putting so many hours and I wasn't giving her the time and attention she needed. So there was lots to figure out there and work through. And to get from a place where we were to where we are now, it took a long time to kind of see the results of this or like the
Mhm.
benefit of it. It takes a little while for that to build, but now she's starting to see it and like the vision's built for her. So it makes more sense. So now she's cool with like all the hours I'm putting in and everything. And we've kind of found our groove.
Yeah, dude, I think that's big. But they got to know the purpose of what you're doing.
Right. And
Cuz I worked with my wife for years and we were just dating at the time. And but she would see like the bigger picture and she was okay with me taking, 60 flights a year and being gone till midnight running appointments 3-4 days a week, and which is, dude, it's so much easier now.
oh
Like
yeah.
you don't have to do that. You could
Right.
just be on Zoom at home
Hmm.
or on the phone at home and do all these things. But dude, I would be gone till midnight just running appointments 3-4 hours away from home to get enough leads just to do that. But I've noticed this, okay? A lot of people have asked me this. They're like, I love this industry, but my wife is not supportive of what I'm doing. And I've witnessed this with a few of my friends. Like they'd be scared if they had no sales to tell their wife,
Yeah. Valid.
and they'd be like, dude, because obviously your wife wants security or vice versa, right?
Hmm.
What I always tell people is I'm like, dude, if you're in that situation, you got to get a paycheck fast because when you get paid, that will release some of that pressure, you know?
Totally.
And then you can't do what a lot of people do, which is um, Lockhart said this. He said your ego gets in the way and you're like, I don't need to, dial all day cuz I'm good now and I got some money. So I'll just book appointments, later in the day. I'll take some time off. I'll go on vacation and this is all your ego saying, "Oh, you're set. You're good."
Mm-hmm.
And then they go backwards into a bad situation. So kind of like your accountability every single day, you got to do your activity as far as your sales goes and the amount you invest in leads every single day.
Yep.
Or eventually it'll catch up to you with chargebacks and it won't work.
Totally. You don't quit doing the little things. When you stop doing the little things, I'm listening to this book now, The Slight Edge. Have you heard of it?
Yeah,
Have you
Trey
listened to it?
Honeycutt's in that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'll probably find him in there.
I haven't got to that part yet. I just
Yeah.
started it like yesterday, so I'm only like 3 chapters in. But it talks about all those things, and just don't stop doing the things that got you the results. When you start compromising and taking out the little things, you don't see it immediately, but over time, you're going to get further and further away from what got you there. You start going backwards, essentially.
Yeah, you start going backwards. I always say it's the Disneyland thing. Like I see these people, they have 2 good weeks and then they're on vacation at Disneyland.
Right.
And they come back and they have 2 chargebacks and then they call me and they're like, "Bro, like this business isn't working." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Dude, you have not been working."
Right. Especially like that's something I talk with new agents about all the time. I guess you asked me earlier, big piece of advice for a new agent. What I tell any new agent coming in is like your first 90 days, put your head down and cut out all outside noise and distraction. Put on blinders. You're going to work, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 hours a day, maybe 12 hours a day. If you're not hitting your sales goal Monday through Friday, work Saturdays until you're hitting that goal. But don't take a trip to Cancun and blow all your money. Don't take a week or 2 off. Stay consistent with your work schedule and time. And if you do that for 90 days, act like you're broke. Act like you have no money. Don't go spend it. And then 90 days comes around, you're going to look back and be like, wow, look how far I've come. And you're going to have that result, hopefully, that you're looking for.
Yeah, almost like lock yourself out of your bank account
Yeah,
and just act like you didn't get the deposits you got
totally.
every single week.
Totally.
Yeah, that's huge. How much do you invest in leads every week?
Right now, probably about 1,200, 1,300.
And do you mix new leads and age leads?
Right now, no. I'm just doing all the exclusive leads.
Okay, cool. And when you were new, did you mix them?
Oh yeah, totally. I have when a new agent starts, I have them start off on just bronze, silver, life leads. That's just to get you reps, get you familiar, get you sharp. And then once you're good with your rebuttals, objections, you know how to run apps, quote, all that, then you move up from there. But I would definitely mix. So like when I was running mortgage, I would run bronze, silver, gold mortgage mailers, do a mix. But I'd always keep my lead spend consistent. It was $200 to $250 a day, 4 to 5 days a week. So on average, I've been doing $1,200 a week lead spend pretty consistently since I started.
How hard was that to do though?
Initially, man, it was crazy because it's so foreign to most people. It's like,
Yeah.
Shoot, I maxed out. I had 2 credit cards and I maxed out the second one finally on my first weekend because that was like the expectation. It was a standard. You need to spend $1,000 to $1,500 a week, and this is the kind of return you're going to see. So I was like, that's what I got to do. That's what I got to do.
Well, the thing is it's not the kind of return everybody sees.
Right.
Now, I've been like almost out of business, and like the last door knock on that I do on someone who's not answering like saves my week.
Totally.
And I always said that was the fourth quarter magic. And I don't know if everybody's willing to go hard in the fourth quarter,
Right.
but that saved me like a million times. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, totally. And honestly, I think that's great for like a new person coming in. If they get beat up all week, but that last day on Friday and it's like the end of the evening and they're burnt out and they made that sale, like that's way better than I think that someone coming in their first day or two
Way
and
better.
making a sale.
Yeah. Dude, if they do, it ruins them.
Yeah,
They
totally.
think it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got to grind in the beginning to get those sales, then you know the worst of it.
Totally.
And if you can handle it, then you're good. I always say that. It's a curse if you get a big sale and you're new.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. What's your process for getting new agents going?
Okay, so getting new agents going, like I said, we have a whole boot camp that my wife does the training on. But I mean, it's the ins and outs of everything because there's so much that goes into it. It's like I don't want necessarily like to discourage. Like, say I have a guy come in, he's been in a few months, he wants to start building. I don't want to take their time from them selling, focusing on sales and like getting themselves good to go train new people. So it's run over ILC, phone scripts, how to look up your NPN number and your license, like all that beginner stuff knocked out of the way. And then from there, I give them I'm sorry, bronze or silver final expense leads for a week or two, let them run those, get their reps in, make some sales. And then once they get that deposit, they see it's real. And then they go and reinvest in their business. But I also have them track, their lead spin versus their submit so they can see like, okay, I invested this much, but I made this much. I invested this much here and I made this much here. And when you're tracking that, it's pretty cool because if you see that like they're spending money on leads, but they're not making sales, that's something in their sales process that you could fix. If they're not spending money and on leads and they're not making sales because they're not spending money on leads. So it kind of helps funnel in and like what's going on here.
That's cool. What's your favorite book?
I don't think I have a favorite book, to be honest. I anything personal development wise, I love. Um, I guess one that really resonated with me is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't know why. I just thought it was like a cool story and way to think about things.
I love that book. When I was 18, or no, when I was like 16, dude, at the grocery store, one of the checkers, Ricardo, gave me that book. I read it, and it just changed like every way I thought about money possible.
Totally.
Yeah, because it's like, how dumb am I to go get a raise and go buy a new car,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no extra money?
Right.
Get another raise and buy a bigger house, and I have no extra money. And at all these levels, just be broke and, a prisoner to paying your bills.
Totally.
And that's why I did this whole business, dude, was just because of that book.
Really.
Yeah.
Hmm. I actually had to practice a principle from that book recently. It was like, I really want to get this really nice car or open an office. I was like, I could do both maybe, but then I'd be overextending. I was like, what am I thinking? I'm going to open an office because that's going to help reinvest in your business more or less. The car can come later.
Well, the office will pay for the car.
Exactly. That too.
Yeah. Like if you're running it, the office will pay for the car. Where's your office at?
It's going to be in St. Pete, Florida.
Nice. I've heard that's a cool place to live.
It's awesome. Have you been to San Diego ever?
Yeah.
It's like San Diego, it's, smaller and definitely a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they got a homeless issue out there.
Yeah, big time.
So opening your office, how big is it?
It's gonna be about 4,000 square feet, 4,500 square feet.
How much is it?
Man, we're looking at a few different places. I think I've narrowed in on two, but it's anywhere from 9,500 to 10,500 a month.
So big investment.
It is.
And how many people do you plan on having it in there working?
As many as I can fit. I think they might fit out like 40 agents or so if we have it packed to the gills. I kind of have to see how it looks, all laid out with cubicles and everything. But
Good for you, bro. Yeah. So the point of I've always done that. So it's like, okay, the rich dad poor dad thing. If I want a car, I'm gonna make a bunch of sales. I'm gonna buy an asset that's gonna pay for the car, or recruit an agent where I would get an override that I could use that to pay for the car, and that way I don't have to go personally trade time for dollars.
right.
And I don't know, man. It really made me mad, like the keeping up with the Joneses thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, dude, what kind of scam is this? Like, I'm just going to get more debt just to look cool,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. The thing about the Joneses is they're actually broke.
Yeah.
So don't keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah. I love that though, dude. So I do want to share this too. Like, this is basically the way I looked at recruiting. If I got one good agent a year, and they did a lot of, let's say average one a year, right? Then it could cash flow more than a paid off rental property. And that's when I was like, wait a second, all I have to do is go find people that want to make more money. They could work part-time, they could work from their house, they can be old, they could be young, they could be come from like any occupation, they could have any background except like a crazy criminal background. But all basically the door is wide open for anybody to do this, and they can do it with a computer and a phone from anywhere. And I'm like, what kind of opportunity is this?
Right.
You know? And not only that, you're not just calling your friends and family, you actually get to call leads. You don't have to bug people that you know, which a lot of people don't want to do. You don't have to recruit. Like you don't have to go recruit to make money. You can just, which is what my goal was at first, was to just get some leads and go make sales.
Right. I think, well, a couple of things there. One, there was a podcast you had a long time ago, and it was talking about, everyone thinks they want some kind of vehicle so they can put money into real estate and investment properties. And I think you did that. You had some Airbnbs, and then you broke it down, or you're talking to someone else who had done it.
Yeah.
And you broke it down as like an agent's actually more profitable than any of these investment properties.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, wow, okay, I'm all in on this, it was a big eye opener. It was like the light bulb went off. The other thing is, it was huge for me. What really attracted me to this business is I don't have to hit up friends or family. Like I never, ever in a million years wanted to be that guy.
Same. Yeah. Like I would never would have started doing this.
No
Like
way.
you could have got me in a room and got me excited, but if I found out I had to go sell my friends and family and recruit them, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But now what's funny is I still recruit my friends and family. Like one of my best friends just started, my mother-in-law just started, my uncle Jimmy works with me. Like, and I was a little hesitant a few years ago to recruit people I knew because the amount of driving that you would have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like who wants to do that? Now I found it kind of therapeutic to be on the road by myself and like throw a podcast on and like be able to get all my thoughts clear and go out, make some money and come home. But a lot of people didn't want to do that.
Right.
And so I would be hesitant to recruit a lot of the people I have now, but now they can make sales from anywhere over the phone. I'm like, dude, this opportunity is like, we're literally just barely scratching the surface of what it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I know insurance may not seem like the sexiest industry out there in the world, but honestly, I think it's pretty sexy. I mean, I can sit from the comfort of my own house, eat when I want, get up and use the bathroom when I want, and essentially, make as much as I like while training, recruiting, developing others, helping people make money, hit their goals and dreams too. It's awesome. We have like the best job in the world.
Yeah, and dude, like a lot of people want to get into real estate. I think they just don't know about insurance.
No,
Because it
facts.
sounds bad. Because there's real estate meetups in Vegas, okay? And I've been to a few of them, and they're packed. And it's like a couple posts online that say like we're going to talk about real estate. And insurance is not like that. But some of the people that are now working with me, they were in real estate, and they're like, dude, you're telling me that I could get paid in 2 to 3 days, and I could get paid this amount, and instead of selling a house, I'm just collecting $100 from somebody or helping the carrier do it. So I think, yeah, dude, it's a big awareness thing, and it just has like a negative vibe, maybe because of it's been a big recruiting and cold calling thing for a long time.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I was cringed out by the thought of insurance before I got in. Be honest, like I never thought in a million years I'd ever do insurance for sure, without a doubt. But yeah, I think there's agencies out there that they started people on low comp. They were hitting up friends and family, and that model, I think, turned a lot of people away from the industry. And then you add sales to it on top of, can I trust insurance? So it does turn a lot of people away, but I don't think a lot of people have been exposed to like the opportunity of like how insurance is or can be now and
Yeah.
what we have here. And what we have is, I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
And fulfillment. Like there's a lot of fulfillment helping people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Feels great. I mean, at least once or twice a week, I'll have someone cry on the phone, so thankful and happy that they finally got to have coverage in place. They didn't think they could get coverage. So yeah, it feels great.
Have you seen Transamerica's new product?
No, I haven't.
So I want to talk about it real quick. So It's a final expense express issue. It's called Transamerica Express, I believe. It covers congestive heart failure on level death benefit. It covers COPD on level death benefit, Parkinson's, um, and what am I missing? Parkinson's, dude, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all level. And you can have multiple of those things.
That's crazy.
Stroke.
Stroke?
Okay. So stroke, you can get level death benefit on stroke.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. It's already released?
It's already released. Dude, we had my Uncle Jimmy just put one through. And he was like, "Oh, this guy went through and he had these crazy medical conditions, multiple of them."
Wow. It's all simplified issue?
It's all simplified issue. It's instant
Wow.
issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. So yeah, the reason I'm saying that is because for those of a lot of people don't know, but we can help anybody, regardless of their situation, get a policy, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Cool, man. So you're building a team. How can somebody reach you if they wanted to work with you?
Yeah. Hit me up on Instagram, underscore Kerry Glass, my name, Facebook, wherever normal channels, I guess, social media channels.
And they can try to work to get into that accountability group.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, dude, thank you for coming in, man. I think it's pretty inspiring, especially I don't think I've talked to someone that's been a DJ turned insurance agent.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely haven't heard many DJs going into insurance. Actually lost a lot of friends from it.
That's cool. All right, man. So thank you for coming in. If you're interested in working with us, you can reach out to Kerry on his Instagram, and hopefully this helps somebody who is trying to get to the next level in their business. So thanks for coming in, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.